All right. Good evening once again. So, yesterday we ended the class with looking at some Python inbuilt functions. We worked with the sum, the maximum. You can as well use that same syntax for maximum, for minimum, just for you to substitute the name of the function from maximum to minimum. And I promise that in this section, we will see how we can come up with a tangible project that uses the Python control structure we have been learning, such as the conditional statement and the conditional statement and the loop functions. And I want to believe that at this junction, for those of us that attended the entire sections, should have known the difference between the Python control structure, talking about the two arms, the conditional statement and the loop. So what we are going to do in this section, we will just introduce a function that will work in hand with the loop function for us to be able to create a password generator, like I briefly explained to us before we ended yesterday's section. So we are going to start with looking at, let's say, for loop with range. So we want to look at that. For loop with range. So the new function we are introducing here is the range. The range. So the range on its own does not actually do anything. So it's also used in conjunction with the for loop. And we are going to combine these two functions to be able to come up with a project like I said before. So let's just look at these introduction notes for us to have proper understanding. So the combination of range function, with the Python for loop allows us to run a loop for as many times as we can. Let me take it again for those that are writing introduction. I said the combination of range function with Python for loop, that is both of them together, allows users to run a loop for as many times as we can. So instead of looping through each item in a list like we saw in the last section, we can loop through a range of numbers. If you remember yesterday, I mentioned one of the importance of understanding loop as one of the control structure in Python is that instead of you repeating a task, you can use loop to achieve that. And the example I cited was, let's assume that you are to use print statement to print 100 numbers. That is from number 1 to 100. Imagine the number of prints command that will be involved. So we can actually use, with the help of for loop or with the help of this range function, we can display such numbers without having to write them one after the other. So just quickly look at the syntax. Let's quickly look at the simple syntax. So like I always emphasize, whenever you are learning a function, try as much as possible to understand the syntax first. The syntax will inform you on how to go with the function. So the syntax is that we call the function range, and then we specify the numbers. We specify the number. So in this case, I will just use 2 parameter, that is 2 inputs. So let's say B, and then you add a colon here, and then probably you will now print what you want. So let's say we can now print the numbers. So we can now print the numbers. So I'm just trying to explain the syntax. Remember, like I told us, using it alone will not actually give us any meaningful outcome. We use it in conjunction with the for loop. So here I'm just trying to, so we print the numbers. We print the numbers. So the range function itself, like I said, does not do anything. So if we want to print a number from 1 to 100, let's say, for example, we cannot just say range. Instead, we will nest it. Let me put it as a task. So let's say we want to print number range. Let's say from 1 to 100. Let's assume this is a task you are given and you don't want to be printing them one after the other, or you don't want to use multiple print command to achieve that. So you can just say print, and then you type the range. Like I said, you use it inside the print command, and then you specify the starting point and the end point, because we're talking about what? The difference between the beginning and the end. That is why it is called range. So in this case, I would say, okay, start from 1 and then put a comma and then put what? 100 here. So if I run this code, let's see what we get. What do we have here? Okay, so we printed, you can see that it printed the same thing that we have. So what is happening here is to qualify what I told us. You can see that when you use it only, that is, you just simply print range, you got the same thing. So now we will now look at an example where we will not join it together with the for loop and see how that range that is not doing anything on its own will start giving us a reasonable result. So let me convert this to comments, so that has confirmed that the range itself does nothing. So now let's use it. Now let us use the range function. The range function with for loop. So I can say that same thing that we did. I can say for from yesterday class, I believe you know why we are typing what? Number. for number in, I believe you also understand what is in. The keyword from yesterday's section. I believe you understand that. So now I am bringing the range now. The range function for number in range, let's say what? 1, 10. 1, 10. For number in range 1, 10, and the column, and then print number. From yesterday's section, you would understand what is going on here. Print number. So I can just say print number. So let's run this code and see what we get. So I run this code. So done. System is doing some updates at the background, so it's making it too slow. So somebody, while mine is loading, you can as well try it and tell us the answer you get. But I know you will not get number 10. Okay, good. So you can see what it did. So it printed number 1 to 10 and exclude the last number. So you should always observe that when you are printing range, the last number will not be included. So if I want the last number, if I want to print complete 10 numbers, who can tell us what to do? If I want to print 1 to 10, who can tell us what to do? Just one person should unmute and tell us what to do.
It has to be print maximum range.
Okay, we have to increase the 10 to what number? We have to increase the 10 to what number, sir?
If we increase it to like 11 or 12,
it will give us
print the range, it will still stop within that. But if we say print maximum range, I think it will print all from 1 to 10.
Okay. So when you say maximum range, are you saying that we are now involving maximum function before the range?
Yes.
That means we are putting the range inside maximum or maximum inside range?
We are putting
maximum inside range. Okay, so let someone else try it and get back to us. And Mercy, try that. Let's see what you're going to get. Mercy or any other person who can get it first. Let's apply his own concept and see if we are going to get exactly what he's saying. Anybody trying, please? Has anybody tried that? Please, I'm waiting. Or even yourself, Yomi that suggested it. Have you tried it? Let's see your results.
I'm trying it now.
All right. Nesting maximum inside the range. Or range inside the maximum.
Range. Okay.
What did you get?
It's error.
Okay. Okay, so let's assume that it doesn't work that way. Has anybody else tried it? So that we don't just conclude maybe it's having syntax error. All right, so I think what we are going to do is to increase, let me try it here. If I increase here to 11, and let me rerun the code and see what I get. So you can also be trying this thing out there. So you can see that always know that the last one will not display. Okay, so let's look at something else. Okay, somebody want to say something? So let's look at something else. By default, take note of this. Take note of this because of time. I don't want to write too much, but you can be taking your notes as I'm dictating this fact. So by default, the increment step, the incremental or step is set to 1. That is what is actually happening. Let me see. I think I should highlight this. So just say, I say by default, please somebody should mute his or herself, except you want to say something. I'm hearing a background noise there. By default, I said the incremental, the incremental step is set to 1. It's set to 1. You know, it is because of the concept I'm using to teach us this for loop that has actually bypassed this step I'm talking about. Because if I actually want to teach us without targeting how we can use this to solve a problem, real life problem, this is not how I would have actually gone with it. So we'll have been working with maybe random number and some simple values. But that is what I want to bring here now, because if I've gone that way, you understand what I'm want to explain now. So what is happening here is that when you say loop, remember that even in the last class, we talked about the initial state where we were setting maximum to 0 yesterday, sum to 0, so that when it iterates, it will always reset before it starts what? Another journey. So by default, it is set at 1. That is what you are seeing here, from 1. So when you put 10, it will have counted. Remember the logic. That's why it stopped at 9. Now, if I want to increase, so I'm bringing the range where I want to alter that default that has been set to 1. So I'm not the one that will determine the incremental, all right, or the increment step. So after the first one, then you add how many number to give me the second one. You add how many number to give me the, when it loop on 0, it will add 0 to, let me see what even came out here. It will add 0 to 1 and give you 1. When it loop again, it will add what? 1 to what? To the initial one, it will give you 2. When it loops again, it will add 1 to the initial one and give you 3. When it loops again, it will add 1 to the initial one and give you 4. When it loops again, that is what was happening that make us to arrive at that what? At that 9, because we have set the maximum. Because when you are talking about loop, you must specify the starting point, then the increment, schedule, and then the maximum. So if you don't define this, then it will continue to loop. Now, that is what we want to enter, and I want us to understand the syntax, how you can actually alter it. So now, to increase the step, what you are going to write, or the syntax, for those that are writing, the syntax will be for, so let's say we want to write that same code for number, but let me just try and use different variable name for num in range, for num in range. Now we are using, the only thing we are bringing here is the step that we are increasing so that it doesn't fall back to the default. So I'll bring it this for num in range 1 and then 10, and then I will now put a comma. So if I put 3, that means what? I have altered the default increment. So that place you are seeing 3 was actually there, but is what? Invisible, because by default it has been set to 1. So if you stop at just this, just know that automatically it will implement the default. So let's go ahead and see what is going to happen. So I'll say print. What are we printing? Let me call someone's name to know if it's following. Ola Fabekun. What are we printing? Mr. Ola Fabekun, what are we printing? I want to know if you are following. Mr. Ola Fabekun, what are we printing? Okay, let me assume that person is not in the mood to talk. Okay, Mercy, what are we printing? What are we printing?
We are printing the number in range.
That is is it number in range we are printing, or
the number?
NUM, right?
Yeah, num, like num.
Okay, good. So now let's run this code and see what is going to happen. I want to see the impact of the introduce step. So let's run it. So can anybody explain what happened here? Look at where it started from. This is where the other one stopped. All right, this is where the other one stopped. And I want somebody to explain to me why we have 1, and then we have 4, and then we have 7. Who is going to explain that to us?
Okay, what it means is that with that 3, that is the last from where we have 1, 10, 3.
Yeah.
He's telling us that you print the first one.
Okay.
Then once you print the first number, then you add 3 to it.
Good.
Then you print the outcome, and then you add 3 to it again, and you print the outcome. That is what he's telling us.
So why is it that I stop at 7? Someone else should explain. Mercy, tell us, why did it stop at 7? We are going to 10. Mercy should tell us why it stopped at 7. Is it that I cannot add 3 to 10 and to 7 and give us 10?
So I believe because we have 3 figures there.
Because we have 3. Because
we have 1, 10, and 3. Then the answer, we have 1, 4, and 7.
Can anybody, Mr. Yomi, can you tell us why did it stop at?
Why it stopped at 7 is that, the maximum is 10.
Good.
As in the maximum rate is 10. So you can't print 10 again.
Why? That is what we want to.
If you look at the previous example, when we have range
1 to 10, it printed 9, stop at 9, right?
Yes. Because of this, you can't print 10 again. And if you add 10, 3 to 7 again, it will give us 3. So you can't print 10.
Perfect. Mercy, hope you got it. That is the
yes,
reason.
Sir.
That's the reason, not because you have 3. because it's also
Okay,
looking at the maximum. Like I said, the last one will not be printed. So which means that we should be seeing 9 here. And if you add 3 to 7, you have already what? Exceeded what? 9. That is what is happening.
but I have
Exactly.
a question.
Okay, ma.
If we make that 10 to be 11, is it
Yeah.
going to print 10?
See, this is practical. Let's try together. We are in this journey together. Let's try together. Alpha, did you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Please, you confirm the explanation of Mr. Yomina, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's take note of this. So let me give us 3 minutes to try something relating to this, because why I have to go this way now, the project that I am going to talk about now, the password generator, we are going to be working with this logic. That is why I'm trying to give all this background. So let me give us 5 minutes to play around what we have done so far. Quickly. 5 minutes. And then after that, we will take one more task. Then after that, we go into the project. Please, once anybody have tried, let's move on.
I've tried.
Okay, so let's proceed. Let us proceed. Now, I will have actually given us this as classwork, but let me see. If I know that is what I will have asked us to do. So, work out the total. Let me just see if something we can do. Work out the total of numbers between.
Is it work or what?
Sorry. Work out the total of number between 1 and 100 inclusive of both 1 and 100. So is a task. I will have given us this as an assignment, as a classwork the other time, but I think let me just, because of time, so that we can have enough time to explain the project. So what we are saying here is that instead of just looping, we want to loop and also what? Add. And then 100, 1 and 100 inclusive. It means that I shouldn't stop the way the other will stop at 9. It should print out 1. It should also what? Include 100. So the only thing is that our maximum range will now be what? 101. That is how we can include 1 and what? 100. So the solution for this, solution for this, or you want to do it, solution for this. So let's say total, and Messi and Yomi can try, but let's just move. So we'll set our step to what? To 0. Our step to 0. And then we will now say for numbers. For number, we have used number. So let me say for num2, just for example, in range. For num2 in range. And then I'll say from 1 to 100. 101. So I'll set that. And then because we said inclusive 1, and so our maximum have to go above 100 so that we can include 100. Then I will now say total, which is the total you have typed. Total, then we will say plus or equals to num2, and then you print total. So this is almost the same thing with the logic we learned the other time. So print total, which means that what? There will be increment. Right, so if I run this code, let's see what we are going to get. Right. So I think I have to comment this off so that we can focus on our results. So let me run just this code. So who can explain what is happening here? I think the first one is you can see what is happening from 1. See where we started from. Okay, we set it to total. So who can explain what has happened here? Can anybody explain what has happened here? So if we add the step number, let's see what we get. Let's say step by 2. Let me go to So we have the first one, 1. The second one is 4. The second one is, what's the difference between 4 and 9? What is the difference between 4 and 9? That is 5. And then the difference between 9 and 16 is, that should be 7. The difference between, so what I actually wanted to get is not what I'm getting, though it's giving us a calculation, but I just wanted to get the addition. What I wanted to get is addition until it gets to 100. Just like we said in the project, that inclusive 1 and 100. So let me just do away with this for now. I'm not getting what I wanted. So let's quickly look at the project now. The projects we want to round off with, and this project will bring us to the end of a for loop. So after this, you can now continue your personal study on the Python control structure. At least we've done enough example for us to understand what it means. So let's look at a simple project. And the project is that we are to create a password generator. That is the project. And the idea of this is to implement the for loop. The for loop. Now, like I was trying to explain to us yesterday, that if you visit some website where you are asked to create your password, because of the cyber attack, the software must have made provision for you to generate a stronger password. So in other words, that software, that provision is an app that has been put in order by the programmer for those that do not know how to create strong password because of cyber, or trying to prevent a cyber attack. So you can attach it to your app where you want the users to generate password. So you create the app and then it helps them to generate a very strong password. Now here we are going to import a module. Probably in the next class, you start hearing Python module, Python classes, and all of that, or packages. Because one thing in Python, once you are going advanced, you are going to be working with modules. Modules are like template, like software that's like libraries that have been pre-developed, where most of the code have been written and stored in different container. So you can just call the container and use the functions from the container. That is one of the things that make Python more popular, because it has so many packages and modules that people can leverage on depending on the aspects they are. All right, so okay, so to start with, we have to import random, because the password is going to be random number. So the password Mr. A we generate will be different from the password Mr. B we generate. So we have to import what? A random. Sorry. We have to import random as a library. So is a must, because we want the password to generate random number. So when Mr. A use it to generate, it will give Mr. A difference so that our password does not appear to be the same. So we are going to set parameters. In other words, since it's going to be random, We want it to include letters. We want it to include numbers. We want it to include special symbols. That is why in cybersecurity, we teach students what we call cryptography. That is a way of ciphering their readable information to become unreadable. So one of the advice that is mostly given out, even when you go to the bank, they will tell you that make sure that your password has special character, because with my knowledge in ethical hacking, I know that if you make your password strong, if you add special character instead of using just letters and number in your password, it is almost impossible for somebody to hack you. So the most of the hacking that take place because they are taking advantage of loopholes, vulnerability, people who are not aware to tighten up their security. So the value we want to generate, we want them to include numbers, special character, and letters. All right, so based on that, we are going to capture those values, because that is going to be like a boundary that you are setting, that they must not, that is what the random number, the random letter, the random character, special character will be captured first, so that the password generator knows where to fetch this information from. So we are going to capture them as lists. Remember, we'll talk about Python list. So I'll first of all create the list of string, and then I'll create the list of number, and then I'll create the list of symbols. So when the password generator starts generating, then it's going to pick at some point, it can pick text, pick number, pick special character. So that is the idea. So I will start with that. So I will say letters. So I will say letters. Letters equals to, we all know the syntax for list. So because of time, I'm not going to capture all of them, but your assignment, capture letter A to Z. So I will just capture a few of them and then proceed. A, B, C, D, E. So you take your time to capture everything down to Z. So like I said, I will need to also want the number to be part of the password. So I'll say numbers equals to, select the number. So I want the number to start from 0. Remember the principle. These are numbers, you don't need to code them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. So you can create as many as possible, maybe to 200. Then remember what we said, to make the password very strong, we also require special symbols. So I will just say symbols equals to I hope we are following. Please let me get a response from one person. So the symbol, I'm going to acknowledge them as string also.
Yes, sir.
It's part of this system. Waiting for the system to respond. Please just bear with me. I'm using a different laptop today, so the system is updating. As long as I connected it to it. I think this one is from the application now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that means the application. Let me see if I can. Hello, can you hear me? Let me try and see.
Yes.
It's like the app is not responding. I want to see if I can restart it. I'm just looking at the time. But if it's not able to come up, it means that we will just continue from there in the next class. Well, let me try and see first. To try and restart the app.